Hey everyone, it's Ben Hardy here, and in today's video we're going to be going over the all-new Ram 1500 and the fact that if you want to get your hands on one, you're going to have to order it. You can't just pick it up on the dealer's lot. So in the first part of the video, we're going to get into the issue that is basically turning this into reality. Then I'm going to kind of dive into what you should do as a consumer, and yeah, then we'll just kind of like sum things up from there. And so let's get into the video. So first off, why is this even happening? And it kind of just goes along with the narrative that we've been experiencing over the last, pretty much 2 years at this point, which is pretty crazy. And that's the fact that we have the same amount of demand for new vehicles, and we don't have enough new vehicles being produced because we have shortages. Right now, again, it's still that chip shortage, which is crazy that months and months and months and we still have the chip shortage, right? And some manufacturers are getting hit harder than others, and here's kind of why. So if a manufacturer produces trucks or SUVs, they are getting hit the hardest in terms of having tons of demand and not enough supply, whereas if they build cars, they're not having as many issues, and there's a number of reasons. So first off, people are buying more trucks and SUVs, and that's been a general trend for like the last couple of decades, is people have been going from cars to trucks and SUVs, and that trend is only going to continue as time goes on. Now, aside from that trend, if you look at the amount of microchips that have to be used in the average new SUV and truck, and then also in the average new car, it's actually typically a significant difference. Now, there obviously are some exceptions, because there are some, crazy luxury cars that have tons of computers and tons of technology, and they need tons more microchips. But if you're taking like your average kind of like baseline car, and then you go to like the average truck that someone buys or the average SUV, and typically they have more. Again, there's obviously exceptions, but that's kind of like the general trend. So obviously we have that thing where the trucks and SUVs, because of all the stuff that they have nowadays, like the automatic tailgates, and you've got all of the cameras, and you've got all of the crazy screens and all the technology in them, they need a lot of microchips. So that's causing issues. And then on top of that, right, everyone wants to buy those. People don't want to buy cars, they want to buy the trucks, they want to buy the SUVs. So then you've got this issue where the thing that needs the most microchips is also the thing that everyone wants, and we don't have any microchips, so it's causing a huge issue. And then if you look at Ram now, because that's what this video is about, the Ram brand, all they sell is trucks. Yes, they've got the cargo vans, but they don't do as nearly as much volume with those cargo vans as they do with the trucks, right? And the pinnacle of the truck for the Ram brand is obviously the 1500, and when I say pinnacle, I mean the one that they sell the most. Yes, the 2500s and the 3500s are awesome, but they don't sell that many of them compared to the 1500s. The 1500s, they sell a massive amount, and because they sell a massive amount, then obviously that means that they're going to need a massive amount of microchips to supply those trucks. And so, right, it all kind of comes together. We've got the new Ram 1500, which is great from a technology standpoint, but then also it needs a lot of microchips because of all the technology that it has. And then obviously we've got all that demand, and so yeah, it's kind of all coincided to create this like perfect storm to where there's no Ram 1500s. And so now the manufacturer is reacting. And the reason the manufacturer is reacting in this way is, first off, just go to a Ram dealership if you have some time, and look at how many trucks they have in their lot, and you're going to find that they'll have some used trucks, but they're really not going to have any new trucks. Barely any at this point. Some of them will be completely wiped out. There's a lot of dealerships that literally have like no new inventory. It's pretty crazy. And so you look at that, and then you look at things from the manufacturer's perspective. They go, okay, so we've got this amount of people that want to buy our trucks, okay, and we've got this amount in terms of microchips that we are going to be able to access over this period of time. So what are they going to do? They're going to take the amount of people that want to buy the trucks and the amount of microchips, and they're going to do the math. They're going to go, okay, we're only going to be able to help out this amount of people. Okay, so should we do, plan A, which is do what we've always done, which is build random trucks, send them to dealerships, specs that we think people are going to want to buy? Or should we have people custom order exactly what they want and only send out those trucks? And so then we can make sure that we're going to really get a firm hold of those customers, and that's the route that they're choosing rather. And it makes complete sense, right? Because if they just keep doing what they have been doing over, and what most manufacturers have been doing, which is still giving dealerships, trucks to have in inventory, then you're going to have the situation where you're going to have people that are coming in and they're going to go, oh, I want that one, but I wish it was a different color, or I wish it had this different option. And then it's like, okay, well, yeah, we can order you one and it'll be here in like a few months, but then we still have this truck sitting on the lot that has all these microchips that we could have used for your order anyways, right? That's kind of the thinking that's happening from the manufacturer perspective, right? Hopefully that makes sense to you guys. I mean, makes sense to me, right? It's sad, but it's just reality. So yeah, they are pretty much just solely going to focus on orders. And so yeah, if you want a truck, you got to order it. Now let's get into what you should do as a consumer. Now let's get into what you should do as a consumer with the current situation. First off, you're gonna have to rely a little bit more heavily on research, and a good place to start, Ram's website, right? Because you can see all the specs on the trucks, all the different packages. So you can decide what interior package you want, what exterior package you want, you know, what payload capacity works for what you're gonna be doing, what towing capacity works. You can figure out what powertrain you want, all that kind of stuff. So start with Ram's website. And then obviously what I do on the main channel, right, with the reviews, watch as many reviews as you possibly can so you can make sure that you're picking the right truck for what you're looking for, so you can see what the interiors and exteriors look like kind of more in real life, because Ram's website does a good job with showing everything, but like there's a difference between like the stock photos and everything they have on their website to like a real truck in real life with, you know, right there in front of someone. And so yeah, recommend the YouTube stuff so you can kind of see what the real trucks look like. Now moving from that, actually test driving a truck, here's actually a pretty clever recommendation that I thought of, is go and try to find a used Ram 1500 and drive that, right? Because obviously there's not going to be any new ones on the lots. There's probably going to be quite a few used ones. Funny enough, the used market has actually calmed down somewhat, not from a price perspective, but from a purchasing perspective. And so if you go to dealer lots, they actually have typically quite a few used cars, but they don't have like any new cars. It's kind of an interesting situation. So chances are if you go to your local Ram dealership, they'll probably have a few of the new body style Ram trucks, but used, right? And so just understand it's not going to have all the same features you're ordering with your new truck, because you're going to be ordering a 22, and if you order it fully loaded, right, it's going to have some options that the entry, well, not the entry level, but the original new body style Ram came out with in 2019. So just kind of understand that, but it's going to drive very similar from a suspension standpoint, all that kind of stuff, because they didn't really change anything with that from 2019 to 2022. So you can at least get a feel for the truck, get a feel for the engine, transmission, all that kind of stuff. So that's what I'd recommend. Try to find a used one so then you can drive one. And again, most Ram dealers will probably have something on their lot, so that'll work out from that perspective. Now, moving on from the test drive to actually ordering the truck itself, here's what I have to say is obviously use Ram's website so you can figure out what options you want on the truck and what options you don't want. Just understand there's two things that might vary. So first off, Ram's website doesn't necessarily update as quick as what the dealers get direct from Ram. And so I know it sounds weird because you're like, it's Ram's website, but just trust me on this. I dealt with this all the time as a salesperson. So just understand some of the options that the website from Ram says you might be able to order on the truck, you might not actually be able to order. So just kind of understand that you're going to have to talk to the dealer to figure out exactly what you can and cannot order. And then from a pricing perspective, usually the pricing is pretty much in line, but sometimes there's a little bit of variance. So understand pricing might change slightly with some of the options. But Ram's website should at least be a really good baseline for you to see what options you can and can't get on a specific package, and then on top of that, how much the truck's going to cost, so that when you go to the dealership, you know how much your truck is going to cost, so the dealership doesn't tell you that it's going to be way more expensive than it actually is, right? And obviously if they do that to you, then maybe go find another dealership, right? I know things are hard right now because, again, supply and demand is crazy, but there's a lot of dealerships that are still selling stuff for MSRP for a lot of the packages. And so if you're willing to work a little bit more and do a little bit more looking, you can find them, I promise you on that. Now, moving from that to actually physically going to the dealership, so you have your order sheet, you can actually print it off of Ram's website, which is pretty cool. So you know what options you want, so then you can talk to the dealership to get that ordered, and then they'll give you, a rough time frame. Obviously, I've mentioned this in other videos, expect it to take a little bit longer than normal because we've had so many supply issues, but they'll be able to give you a rough time frame. And then obviously from a pricing perspective, they'll be able to show you the MSRP and then also the invoice as well, so you can see the pricing difference. And the thing that I'd have to say is obviously it's going to vary dealer to dealer. Some dealers will give more discounts and some dealers will give less discounts, but typically across the board, what I've been seeing is a lot of vehicles have obviously been going for over sticker, which sucks, but it is what it is. But what I've been noticing, at least for most of the regular trucks, is they've been going at MSRP again, depending on the package. But a lot of times dealerships have been discounting these orders because they just want to get as many orders in as they possibly can. So you're probably actually going to get a pretty good deal on the order because, again, these dealerships want to fill up their order banks as much as they possibly can. But again, understand with your order, you're going to be able to see again the MSRP and the invoice. You're going to be able to pretty much see how much markup there is in that vehicle that you're ordering. And so that's kind of the process I would take as a consumer from, you know, point A to point Z. Obviously starting with the research and then finishing with ordering the vehicle with this current situation, and then obviously, like I said in the middle, test driving a used vehicle. But pretty much it. Now that's going to sum things up for our video with going over this craziness with the Ram 1500s and the fact that you can only order them. And trust me, it's not just Ram, it's other manufacturers as well. And so just kind of expect this to be the norm for the time being, and then as manufacturing picks up, it'll kind of change.